Hey crew, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun scroll saw project video we have another tropical design since the weather is so beautiful, and this go around is going to be a tropical fish design. Now it is a pattern by the late Steve Good, and from what I can tell it's in the set of final patterns that he ever released earlier this year. But I've already got the patterns photocopied to their full size and attached to our material with clear packing tape. Here is all of the material we are going to need to make today's scroll saw project from start to finish. We've got some 3/4 inch and 1/4 inch material, and it's going to be a beautiful Angel Fish Diorama. You all know, crew, that I love making miniature dioramas because as opposed to like a traditional scroll saw project, like where you just cut something out and you hang it on the wall and you see it from one side, a diorama, you can see it from 360 degrees. So I've always thought that was really cool with miniature dioramas, but I'm going to show you each of the individual pieces here. The base is going to be a piece of 3/4 inch pine, and you can see there's 3 slots in it. One slot to accept the 3/4 inch big piece, and then 2/4 inch slots to accept the seaweed and the algae that the fish swim around in. Speaking of that, here is those 2 pieces, and again we're going to stack cut and make both of them at the same exact time. And Steve Good always went above and beyond with his patterns. He actually drew out each individual part, but I only printed out this part of the pattern one individual time so we could attach it to our material with clear packing tape. And you can see the slots there that will go into the tabs that's on the base. Then we have the designs of the angel fish itself. So you have the body here, and again we're going to be stack cutting because there's going to be one on one side and one on the other. Again, it's a diorama, so you'll be able to see 360 degrees completely around it. And then his 2 little fins here are also 1/4 inch, and they are going to be very small to cut out. They're almost the size of my thumbnail there, so they're going to be very small and intricate. And then we have the main bulk body of the angel fish itself here, and this is going to be more 3/4 inch piece of pine, and this is what's going to build up the thickness of the fish, and then we'll put the layered pieces on it again to build it up to simulate a 3D appearance. And there's going to be a lot of little details here we're going to cut out. So always at the scroll saw we will of course take our time and let the blade do the work. Longtime followers and subscribers will know that I do have a tropical fish tank in the living room where the TV is, so when people come over to visit they can enjoy the aquatic creatures swimming around peacefully, and you might see them in today's video. But since everything is pretty much prepped and prepared, let's move the camera over to the workbench so we can take the Seiko scroller's drill with a tiny drill bit and drill out all of the pilot holes for internal cutting, and then we can go to the Rikon scroll saw and start making some tropical sawdust. And over here on the workbench we are using the Seiko scroller's drill and a tiny drill bit to drill out all of the pilot holes for internal cutting. And you'll note that I have a backer board behind the scroll saw work to prevent blowout of the pilot holes on the reverse side. And now we are beginning scrolling over at the Rikon scroll saw, and I want to go on and apologize because in all of my years of making scroll saw project videos on YouTube, this is the first time that the tripod that I put the camera on has ever moved during the scrolling process. You can see it moving to the side here, so I just want to apologize for that. But we are beginning with the 2 stacked 1/4 inch pieces of material here, cutting out the 2 sides of the angel fish. And I'll do all the internal cutting before releasing the pieces. But now here at the close-up view we are cutting out a piece of 3/4 inch pine, and this is the middle section of the fish, and it will bulk it up to give it some depth and dimension. Still using that same number 5 ultra reverse tooth blade. If you guys would like to try this pattern, it is a pattern available by the late Steve Good. I believe it was one of the final sets of patterns he released before his untimely passing. But the pattern was released in early 2026, and it can be found at scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com. We miss you dearly, Steve. Now with another piece of 3/4 inch pine shelving board, I am cutting out the slots that will accept the tabs during the assembly process, and you want to be as loyal to the cut line as you can here. And now that all of the internal cuts are done, I can begin following the long outside perimeter cut lines to release the pieces from the waste wood. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. As always, I am taking my time and letting the blade do the work. And again, those fins are very small and you want to keep up with them once you have them cut out. And I feel it is very important to stay loyal to the cut line with designs like this that build up a 3D image. And again, I apologize that the camera was moving around on the workbench. I have no idea why it decided to do this. But we are cutting out the final piece here, which is again more 3/4 inch pine shelving board. But once we come back around here, all of the scroll work on today's project will be complete. And now over at the workbench, we'll carefully remove all of the pieces from the waste wood, and we kind of get a visual of what the finished design will look like. But now we will take everything over to sanding with 180 grit Klingspor Woodworking Shop sandpaper in the vibrating palm sander, and I'll carefully sand all of the pieces with circular motions. I'll sand the front and back side of all the pieces, and I'll lightly round over the edge of the base. And now I will use my longer Nano Pro 12-watt laser engraver to engrave the Artisan Pirate logo on the back side of the base. Using a laser engraver like this is a great way to professionally sign your work and put your logo on it. But then it will be time for glue up, the first part of the glue up, and I'll be using medium grade CA glue and activator. And you want to try to line everything up to the best of your abilities. But now I'll take the drill and I'll drill pilot holes in the tabs here so I can hang the pieces on wires, so we can spray paint everything with Rust-Oleum spray paints in one pass instead of having to paint one side and waiting for it to dry and then painting the other. The pilot holes we drilled will be hidden in the base once we finish the glue up. And speaking of the base, we'll paint it a nice ocean blue color. And while everything is drying, we'll go into the living room and you all can see my tropical fish friends. Appropriately, it's got a pirate ship in it, but this is a 20-gallon tropical fish tank, and it does have some frogs in it as well, but it's just so relaxing to watch it. After the paint was dry to the touch, I took some artistic liberties and the acrylic paint pens we have been using in previous videos to add some highlight details. And again, you can do as much or as little here as you want to. It all depends on how you see the project finished in your mind's eye. But after I was happy with everything, it was time to do the final glue up with more medium grade CA glue and activator. And I let it dry and cure for around 5 minutes. And then it was time to apply a finish. And for a finish, we used a few coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss, and it really made the tropical colors we use today pop and stand out. When it dried, the project was complete. And here we have the completed tropical Angel Fish Diorama, cut out completely from start to finish over at the Rikon scroll saw, and it finished up with some beautiful tropical and colorful details in it. I want to once again thank the late Steve Good for a very beautiful and creative diorama design to bring to life completely over at the scroll saw. Again, as I said at the beginning of the video, I believe this was one of the final set of patterns that Steve released earlier in 2026. Steve, we miss you all. But really, really beautiful here. It only took me around 30 minutes to cut the project out completely from start to finish. And as you can see, as a diorama is intended, you can see this from a 360-degree view. And I feel like the Rust-Oleum clear gloss we added at the end really brought everything together and really tied everything together. You can see the glossy reflection there in the lights of the workshop. And I hope you all like that tip, how I go about painting tab designs like this. If I intend to paint them as we did with this diorama, with the tabs that go down in the base, I just take the Craftsman drill and a small drill bit and drill a pilot hole in there. They're going to be hidden anyway once they go down into the base here, and then you can hang them on hooks and spray paint them or dip them in stains in one entire process instead of having to paint one side, wait for it to dry, then flip it over and paint the other side and wait for it to dry. I was able to hang all the pieces from hooks except the base. We put that outside after we spray painted it to help accelerate the drying time. But then after everything was dry, after we had assembled most of it with medium grade CA glue and activator, I used the acrylic paint pens, and these have really come in handy this year over here on the YouTube channel. I wish I had got these years ago. They had been recommended to me for some laser stuff, but then the way my mind works, I thought, hey, can I also use it for scroll saw woodworking? And of course we could, and they're relatively inexpensive over on Amazon. And I took some creative liberties. You all seen in the time-lapse portion, I did pull up a photo of an angelfish. That is where I got the idea for the electric blue highlights there, and then I also painted that base piece there that connects the piece to the base. Hopefully that would help blend it all together to look like he's floating, of course, in the tropical and aquatic environment. But then I just put some highlight colors on it. You can see it from the front here. And then the layers that we used, the 3/4 inch and then the 2 pieces of 1/4 inch on each side. You have one with the stripes and the eye of the fish here, and then his little fin here. Again, that little fin is almost as small as my thumbnail there, so just be very careful cutting it out over at the scroll saw and it should do good. But again, I love making and bringing dioramas to life because as opposed to traditional flat two-dimensional scroll saw pieces where you would only see it from, say, just one angle like hanging on a wall or sitting on a shelf, desk, or countertop, dioramas you can pick up and you can see a 360-degree view. So you have to take a little bit more of a thought process when it comes to finish and making them, how they will visually be appealing once they are completely put together and the diorama is complete. I hope that makes sense. But I'm really happy with how this project finished up. We've made some other tropical fish projects in the past if you want to see those over here on the channel, and I've also made some other dioramas. You know, one year we made a bunch of them because I just love the miniature nature and the way people's creative juices will just flow and bring different things like this to life visually. But this is another diorama piece we can add to the collection, and also another tropical fish design we can add to the collection. As I said at the beginning of the video, I have a 20-gallon tropical fish tank, and it is in the front living room with the big TV and the couch and chairs and everything. That way when people come over to have a meal or come over to hang out and visit, they can see my aquatic friends swimming around peacefully in their tropical aquatic environment. I always love fish. Of course, being a pirate, I haven't went fishing in an entirely long time. I need to go drop a line, so to speak, but I've always loved fish. They come in so many varieties and so many beautiful and vibrant colors. Of course, if you wanted to use exotic or hardwoods, you could totally do that if you wanted to. And if you wanted just an angelfish to hang, you could, of course, just cut the base off there and just cut out one side of it, you know, not put the other side on it, and then you could have just a aquatic angelfish to hang on a wall. You know, there's always options and versatility when it comes to scroll saw patterns and designs. But really happy with how it finished up, as once again summertime fun approaches here in 2026. But a really cool creative diorama. If you all have made any of Steve's dioramas in the past, please let me know down in the comments below. I'd be eager to strike up a conversation and see how you all finish them visually in your garage or workshop. But that's going to be about all for this one. I cannot wait for this one to completely dry overnight to where I can take it in and hopefully find a place to display it near the tropical fish tank. But one more look at it. Tropical angelfish design cut out completely from start to finish over at the Rikon Scroll Saw. And once again, thank Steve Good for the beautiful and creative design for scroll saw woodworking. That's going to be about all for this one, crew. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, crew. And remember, if I can make it or do it, so can you all. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you all real soon.